Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools in Brandon takes pride in selling the tools farmers and tradespeople rely on. Like our Winnipeg location, Brandon carries the same tools you know and love. From all the brands you can trust, all in one convenient place. And with unbeatable service, we'll make sure you get the right tools to get the job done. Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools in Brandon, proud to serve Brandon's industrial needs since 2018. Stop on by today at 358 Park Avenue East. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry upper deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And good evening, Buffaloes Nation. Welcome into the 27th episode in Season 2 of the Buffaloes podcast. As we just update the graphic there. There we go in the background now. It says episode 27 up at the top of the usual Buffalo screen as we always have on here. Great to be back for another episode, this time on a Thursday night. A little backstory. Thought I was going through another kidney stone yesterday, and why I say another is, well, I feel like I do have a kidney stone right now. I just haven't passed it yet. Been feeling better today, but yesterday was really rough. Buffaloes Nation. Had to actually come home from my day job early because I just couldn't deliver at that job yesterday, but feeling better now. Hunched over yesterday, a lot of time spent in the bathroom, and yeah, I mean, a lot of rest yesterday too has me feeling right for this Buffaloes podcast for episode 27 here in season 2, which is brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, and Goaltenders. As for what we got in store for this episode, Gordie Tumilson is going to be joining the show as the only guest to talk about identification camps, as currently there's going to be a camp going on this weekend, as it's going to be the female side of things running from tomorrow all the way until the 30th. As for the camps that have already been underway for the ID camps, the U15 group had their camp last week, and this is what the schedule looked like. So yeah, just a sneak peek of what these ID camps are like. They take you through the whole gauntlet, as we can see here. A bunch of ice time, even some goalie sessions in there. You got some nice brunch on that Sunday last weekend too for those kids. So yeah, I'm assuming that the schedule is pretty much going to stay the same, that outline for all four of the groups in the academy, as I believe the U17 camp's going to be getting going in about mid-April on the 18th. Pilot Mound just released something on their social media page there about that. But yeah, ID camps for those that are interested in potentially looking at Pilot Mound and considering that as a next option to play. That could potentially be an avenue you could go down, and the ID camps could be a big reason why you end up choosing Pilot Mound as that next place to play. So be sure to check out their website, pilotmoundhockeyacademy.com, for all the information for the camps coming up. If you are in the age groups of the U17 male prep division as well as the U18 male prep side of things, those will be going in April. The U18 female camp, going to be talking about that a bit with Gordie Tumilson coming up on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. But to start things off, we're going to take you through another one of Pilot Mound's playoff recaps. As for their U15 squad, didn't get to them last week. This is a team that went all the way to the finals. Came up short, but great performances all around from players like Cole Anderville all the way down the roster. And yeah, we're going to show you the best plays over from Pilot Mound's U15 preps down in British Columbia. Coming up next year to start off things on the Buffaloes podcast. If you also want to check this out outside of this episode, be sure to check out Pilot Mound Hockey Academy's YouTube channel to be able to watch the full video as well. But we're going to play that full video now, and then Gordie Tumilson is going to be joining the show shortly after. Stay tuned, Buffaloes Nation. Lots of great content coming up in this episode for episode 27, season 2 here on G-Show Productions on gshow.ca. Tough break for the U15s, losing out in the finals to Okanagan, but at the end of the day, I mean, what a year from this U15 squad making it all the way to those finals. And yeah, just taking a look at the players that made huge impacts for them throughout those playoffs. Of course, we're talking about a guy in Cole Landerville and Maddox Ramage, who were both tied for second in points, a three-way tie with OHA players, or with an OHA player in Talon Sanoka. In terms of though Pilot Mountain, there are other players coming to play throughout this series or throughout these playoffs. You know, Mateo Grieco with 4 points in 4 games played. Kai Dingwall, just under a point per game. A few Buffaloes at that, just under a point per game, and so many contributing as there was one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 different goal scorers that put that puck in the net for Pilot Mountain. And of course, getting some good goaltending throughout the week as well, throughout the playoffs from Gavin Hildebrand and Yuki Kito. The future is bright for, I think, those players that are going to be moving up in the academy to the U17 squad next year. That would be the ideal goal. And for those players coming back next year, for this U15 prep program. A great experience to be able to build off of moving forward. Speaking of the U15 prep age group, they got to work at scouting, potentially some of next year's talent at their identification camps last weekend at Blackjack Stewart Arena. Gordie Tumilson joins the show next to talk about that and all the other upcoming camps that are going to be on display at Blackjack Stewart Arena throughout this identification process. You're watching the Buffaloes podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. The goaltender's owner, goalie coach, and Gordie Tumilson joins the show next. And Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, this time to more so focus on the identification camps that, well, one has passed right now for Pilot Mound with the U15s, their group running last week, and then the U18 female prep Buffaloes running an ID camp as well coming up here. But Gordie, take us through, busy times right now all around in Pilot Mound with these going down.
Nothing ever stops. It doesn't seem like it's just constant. I know the folks out there, they get worn out. They're gonna appreciate this spring break thing coming up with the kids. Most of them going home. I think probably 10 kids sticking around, and everybody else goes home. But yeah, the ID camps are a busy time. I mean, getting organized. Weeks prior, as they go through playoffs, the coaching staff is very, very involved. The management, of course. We don't have a lot of people out there in this company, in this organization, and so everybody wears about 100 hats, and they just fly around and get things done. They're amazing, to be quite honest with you. There's an attempt there to keep the budget under control so that it doesn't cost the kids any more to play hockey at this academy or any other academy for that matter. It's an expensive business, and staffing is the biggest issue outside, I think, of the school fees. Staffing becomes the next biggest issue with the organization. Anyway, so they're busy, and we did have our ID camp on the weekend for our U15 boys. And yeah, there were 40 kids that were at our camp, and I know they're pretty excited about some of the folks that were there. And it's a good way to promote our program beyond this particular season coming up, in that the kids that either make it or don't make it certainly go back and talk about Pilot Mound to others, and we hope they do that and they get better and come back again next year, or tell other good players that yeah, this is a great place to be, and great facilities, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a great camp, and we had players, I understand, all the way from from Ontario right through BC. And some northern Canada players out of the Yukon and Nunavut, etc. So, yep, busy time, lots of kids and some pretty good ones too. So, got to replace Landerville and Ramage and the goalies and Boers and some others. So it's going to be a tough go again, but that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, and obviously going to be two players that are going to be hard to replace. All you can do is try to make up from that. But even then, I mean, like Landerville, Ramage, special talents, right? But 40 kids coming out sounds like a pretty good turnout. Yeah, I mean, wanting to talk to Colin Fafera at some point about just the U15 season, how this camp went, but the overall consensus, dive more into that in terms of what we saw from that U15 group this past weekend.
Well, I think as far as this past weekend is concerned, some of our kids went out with the attendees and practiced with them, and so we get a good picture of what they look like and how they might fit in. The neat part about our U15 program, of course, there's usually a pretty big upside, an uptick in skill development right off the bat. They come out of playing in a triple A program or a double A program quite often. Yeah, probably more kids at a double A, and all of a sudden they're on the ice every day and they're getting excellent coaching, and which they probably get back at home too. So they get excellent coaching, and at the end of the trip for them, their skill level jumps probably 10% more than it does for the rest of the kids in the program, the U17s and U18 girls and boys, just because of the extra time on the ice. It's amazing what being on the ice every day does for a player versus twice a week, in a game or two a week. And you're on the game ice 6 times a week, and you're in fitness class, and you're in skill development, and you got the shooting thing going on. On dry land, all of those things are extra, and they're there. So they just get better. I mean, they really do, and that's what happened to our U15s this year. They jumped a notch. So, but it's finding those kids that have the capability of moving up that extra notch. That's the hard part. And you're guessing sometimes, you're hoping sometimes, you're right most of the time, you're wrong some of the time. And that's the hard part for a coaching staff when you have very little time to sort of assess people and look at them. So yeah, the camp is a good one. Having the kids come to our camp helps sell our facilities, helps sell our program big time. I mean, they look at a small town and go, "Oh, small town." They don't realize great arena, great dressing rooms, great shooting lanes, great everything else, and all of a sudden, boom, they're sold. And so this is how you get the players to come back to a smaller, less recognizable place as Pilot Mound is. But yeah, it all works itself out in the end.
Yeah, and before we get more into just the whole experience of the camp, getting to also experience the community of Pilot Mountain down there while participating in those weekend camps and these ID camps. But you had mentioned how, some of the U15 players from this year's Buffalo squad is out there on the ice with, the group from this ID camp this past weekend. How huge do you think that is, especially, I think you already pointed to it, but for the coaches, the evaluators to see how these kids, this talent matches up with the skill level that's already on the U15 program, but also getting to see, potential early chemistry in this too for maybe down the line for players that could be chosen.
Sure. I mean, I mean, we can look at video. We have that option. We have scouts looking at players out in the field. That's how a lot of players find us through our scouting program. They find us through seeing us play games in other cities. They find us through just searching for places to play that go beyond their own city. They look for academies. Our social media program, literally an every day or second day deal with our, manager of operations, Carson McConnell, doing a marvelous job of sending these things out while he's getting his university education in Brandon and doing all these things. So yeah, it's a great thing for our coaches to be able to kind of look at kids and go, yeah, this guy's going to fit. Yeah, we can see him the first day, but they go on the ice, I think, four times or five times during the weekend, and so we get to see them, and you get to see them all of a sudden. You can just the light goes on just a little bit here and a little bit there, and it's not not sometimes it's quite obvious, but sometimes it's just the little things that a kid will do from. On Friday night, he doesn't seem to be there, or she doesn't seem to be there, but on Sunday, they're making the plays already because they've got that hockey IQ that you're looking for to get better. And that's what we were able to do last year at the ID camp and hopefully this year is to find those sort of diamonds in the rough, I guess, that don't come necessarily quite as as advertised as others, but they get better just because they want to, and they have the ability to improve their sort of their hockey IQ part of their deal. Plus, they get on the ice, and of course, every day, so their skill level goes up, immensely in 7 months. I mean, my gosh, if your skill level doesn't go up, you shouldn't be at this place or any other place for that level.
Right. No doubt. And it's great to see, the skill level, the skills of these players being tested and even seeing them get elevated throughout these ID camps. But, we spoke so many times about the dorms and just the upgraded facilities around Pilot Mound. I think you've spoken about it already, but just the importance of not only getting these players on ice during the ID camp, but showing them all of Pilot Mound. How much of a benefit is that now with, of course, as we talk about all the upgraded facilities?
Yeah, it's a wonderful two-way street when the players get to Pilot Mound. The parents get there, they go, oh, and we've gotten testimony. I got a testimonial letter way back in October. And that doesn't normally happen. You get a testimonial letter at the end of the season or where kids are graduating or whatnot. This particular mom asked me if I minded, her sending us a testimonial letter in a month after the season started. She said she was totally amazed when she got out to Pilot Mound. She wasn't sure she was going to send her boy, and it's a U17 guy, so it wasn't a young guy. I mean, a younger guy. It was U17 guy in this, in the second year U17 guy. And she went, we just felt so after we left, we felt so much more relief in leaving our son behind. Parents don't leave their kids behind very often. They go, you go on a vacation, you don't leave your kid behind, you bring him home. This is a vacation where you're leaving for 4 months, you're leaving the boy or girl back, in a place where you're not familiar. She said, I felt so good about, so relieved about the people, about the facilities. The dorms I mean, it's like the Taj Mahal of dorm hockey. It's a marvelous place, and if you haven't looked at it, folks, on this show, go to our website. My gosh, there's videos and there's all kinds of things. It's beautiful, and the kids have their own room, and they decorate it themselves, and we make them keep it clean too for moms and dads who care about that. There's a kind of a search party goes out and finds the messy rooms. They make them clean it up, but and then they go to the school and go, gee whiz, there's only 15 kids in the class, and my kid's having a problem. He's going to get help right away.
Right.
Boom. That's amazing. I mean, you get kids from all sorts of big cities, and they just get lost in the shuffle. There's 25, 30, 35 kids in the classroom, and a teacher can't, hasn't got a moment, and to even breathe, let alone help the kids out or very well. And so at the same level, and then and of course, and then we tie that into the education program on the road. The kids are all set up. The school is 100% in on how these kids travel and what they need when they go on the road, and the kids know what kind of equipment they need, all the devices and all the other things that go on. It's amazing what that is, and then you get the arena, which is the coup de grace for the kids. They get their own dressing room, they get their own stall. NHL guys just got that. I mean, barely, going back. So you're in the home rink, and you're treated, really, really well. And so, this getting the kids there is a sell for us. Again, we've always said once we get them there, it's pretty hard for them to not want to come back. They might not come back, but it's pretty hard for them to not want to come back. In terms of the physical part of what they see and what they understand to be our program. So, yep, two-way street, and we enjoy having these ID camps. And it is wearing on our people because it's a long 3 days, but we get through them, and we get good players, and we get good kids, and we get good mums and dads that appreciate what we do for their kids while they're here, and so our quality of person coming to Pilot Mound has been upgraded immeasurably over the last 3, 4 years. So it's a really good thing for kids to come out and see what we do.
No, no doubt. And yeah, great to be able to, like you said, offer that two-way street and make this a place where parents have been comfortable to send their kids year in and year out through the past few years since these dorms have been displayed and made in Pilot Mountain. But in terms of the ID camps historically, I'm not sure if this is going to change this year, but how many kids are we looking at that could be potentially taken from these ID camps? Yeah, what that number usually is, I guess, and what it could be this year.
Yeah, I'm going to guess the average is about 6 players per team. So we've got kids coming back. In U15 cases, probably two or three usually. And then we get about 6 players off of the ID camps in all the age categories, and then we have to find and select other players through video, and sometimes it's a little bit more. Sometimes it's 10. It's probably a little bit more on the U15 side, just because it's a brand new program for everybody. We don't have many kids coming back just because they're of the age category. So we get a few more in the U15s, but so 6 is probably the average. I think that's the number we use. Sometimes we get 10. And then you get two or three kids coming back, and then it's a tougher way to select when we're having to do it via video and via scout reports and those kinds of things. Lots of vetting done that way. And then, of course, we vet all the players. I don't know if the folks out there know that, but we vet all the players and through the school. The school does a 100% review of the players' scholastic information, their attitude in school, their if they're good people or they're have problems, their health. All of those things fall into place, and so and then there's the money issue. Of course, that's a whole other side, but that beyond the money, it's all of those other things, and there's a lot of other things. Can an American kid cross the border? Is there some problem coming in, or a Japanese player or a Czech player? What are their issues? We have to get by all of those things, and so we do. This all takes time and energy and a lot of groundwork by our folks. And after 10 years, Ginger and Nicole and Carson and Isaac, the people behind the scenes, Rod and the family, get this work done, and it's pretty seamless. But there's a ton of behind the scenes stuff that goes on to get all these things in place so that we get our players. But on average, 6 kids per team come to us. That's 24 kids out of 80. We get about to 20 back. So about 50% of our teams come through video and other connections to our program.
Yeah, and just running the numbers there, if it's like 24 players out of the 80, that's about 30% coming from these development camps. So, or these ID camps, as I should say. So, huge for Palamount to be able to run those. The female U18 prep camp for the ID camps coming up this weekend, running from the 28th to the 30th on the Sunday. Early preview into that. Do we know the number of players going in? Little preview heading into this upcoming weekend. It's going to be filled with a lot of fun on the female side.
Yeah, I understand there's about 30 players coming to the camp, so that'll be great. And then we fill with the players that are on our team now because it's connected right to beginning of the spring break for players, we might not have as many players from our team sticking around. So it'll be mostly players from new players that are trying to make a place and check us out. We check them out and whatnot. So it's about 30 players, I understand, and we're still looking for registrants. So still have room, and we're looking forward to getting that underway on Friday evening. The good news is for the girls. We usually have about 3 years over the U18 teams has 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and 15-year-olds. So we're able to kind of bump people up. So we're not completely committed to all 17-year-olds and graduating and then having to fill a 20-person roster.
Right.
We're probably having to fill 10 spots rather than 20, and so we'll pick up again that half a dozen maybe from this particular weekend. It was a little bit more from last year. I think we picked up 10 kids last year right off the ID camp for the girls, and so that was really good. We had a bunch from Alberta that kind of filtered in and took some good spots for us. So but we're looking at again that 6 or 7, and then having to fill beyond the ID camps, during the spring months through until we get that 20-person roster filled.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to hear about how, things end up going this weekend for the U18 female prep identification camps down in Pilot, Mound, Manitoba, over at Blackjack Street Arena is where these girls are flying on the ice all weekend. Gordie Tumilson, always great to be joined by you here on the Buffaloes podcast. We'll link up again next week to talk about the upcoming ID camps out of the two that are remaining after this week, and of course the U18 female prep ID camp. But until then, you take care and enjoy all that great hockey coming your way, if there is any coming your way this weekend. I'm not sure.
Yeah, actually, Graham, thanks very much. We're done hockey now. I think playing the U13 team that I helped got to the finals. Lost out to Brandon West. Congratulations to them. Great season for these young kids, and we'll check out. It'll be fun to talk to Colin Fafra and Kurt or Ryan Carls when we talk again next week. Thanks a lot, Graham. Appreciate it.
McKenna Fasteners and Tools has been the place to shop for your industrial needs for over 20 years. Carrying the tools you need to get the job done from the brands you can trust, McKenna Fasteners and Tools has you covered. Brands like Milwaukee Tool, established in 1924 and on display in our Milwaukee Red Zone, the largest red zone in Winnipeg. With construction workers and tradespeople in mind, McKenna Fasteners and Tools is your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. So come on down to our Winnipeg store location today, located on 1557 King Edward Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And Gordie Tumilson joined the show recently here on the Buffaloes podcast for episode 27 here in season 2 as we take a look at the upcoming prep evaluation camp, the ID camp coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow all the way to the 30th, hoping that the players that are going to be playing in this, that are going to be competing in this camp are able to make it down, as all of a sudden there's a snowstorm that's hit Manitoba, here in Winnipeg at least. Not sure how it is down in Pilot Mound right now around that area. Hopefully the folks over there is staying safe, for anyone on the road as well. But yeah, as of now, this camp is a go, March 28th to the 30th. You could be like Kerrigan, Umferville, potentially, by going through this academy and looking at what she's been able to accomplish, going to the university level, playing D1. Very much a possibility if you can come down to Pilot Mound, having a chance to get recognized, all that great stuff. This is the lead into that, of course, getting situated with Pilot Mound Hockey Academy and showcasing yourself to your potential coaches for next year. So be sure to make your way down there if you're a female hockey player. And for those that are already in, the midst of joining that camp, best of luck to them coming up this weekend, as well as, to be honest, I don't think they're taking any new names, but they may be. But as for this camp, it's starting off tomorrow. As for the Buffalo's U18 female prep season, it ended a few weeks ago now, as this team came out with a point in Penticton, British Columbia, but overall, I'm going winless throughout the weekend. But yeah, I think for this group, still really showed a lot of great effort and great compete throughout, their 3 games, and gave the teams they played, like Balmoral Hall, a bit of a run, and the other teams they played, they kept all of their games pretty close at that, and I think that is the most important thing for this group, knowing that they could stick with these teams to the very end. We're going to show you their highlights now from their 2024-2025 playoffs run down in Penticton.
Go, go, go! Oh, go, go, go! Oh, go, go, go! Oh, go, go, go! Oh, go, go, go!
there you have it. The final recap for us to show you, which we just did from the U18 female prep Buffaloes playoff run down in Penticton, British Columbia, of course. Not coming away with any wins, but overall for Pilot Mound, when taking a look at this team's schedule down in BC for this year's playoffs, who they played, of course, playing against Delta Hockey Academy and, teams like Balmoral as well. But yeah, for Pilot Mound, in all of their games, they were close. They only lost 1-0 to Delta. Only lost 8-6 to Balmoral, and a 5-3 loss to North Shores. So they were in all of those games. Had a chance to win all of them. It just wasn't meant to be for this year's Buffaloes group, this U18 female prep group of girls, who also had, their best player step up. Ashlyn Kuffler leading the way in the point category over a point per game. Michaela Romano as well over a point per game. And then Addison Scoville at 4 points as a defenseman as well. So, some solid point production all around from some of the Buffaloes. Kuffler and Romano both tied for the team lead in goals throughout the playoffs with 3 each. I'd say the thing that probably this team's looking to add next year, and we've talked about throughout the past 2 seasons now, but just more of that natural goal scoring touch, I think, could bring this team a long way if you're able to get some top end goal scorers added into the players you'll be having back in the lineup next year. Could potentially see even better results for the Buffaloes next season at this U18 female prep level. But yeah, congratulations to all the girls on a great run this year and being able to compete with the teams they played against closely down in BC for playoff time. And now we look on to next year, as the upcoming Buffaloes podcasts are going to be, hopefully me talking to, coaches from every single team in this academy. Already had a chance to catch up with Rick McConnell and their captain, Luke Adam, last week in episode 26. So, yeah, hoping to hear from U18 female prep Buffaloes coaches and players, as well as the male U18 prep side of their coaches and players, as well as, if Colin Fafara ever gets a little less busy, maybe we'll have him on the show. Maybe we even have Brad Platt on the show coming up in the next few weeks. But yeah, that's where we're at now as we officially wrap up the 2024-2025 CSSHL season, talking about it at least here on the network in terms of the playoff games that Pilot Mound played in this season. And I think that this academy has to be proud of what they accomplished this year, having 3 of their 4 teams making it to finals, and one of those teams in the U17s bringing home a championship in this academy's 10-year anniversary, which I think makes it even more special with how things ended up playing out for all of these teams, with just the great pride that I'm sure they take in these results too, and being able to represent this school down in small town Pilot Mound. Very proud. We are going to send it to one last commercial break here, or actually a transition, as we've shown you a bunch of commercials in this episode already, and then I'll be back for some final words on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast here on your home of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy coverage on gshow.ca. I feel like we haven't done one of those transitions specifically in a while here on the show. Been mostly rolling commercials, but yeah, welcome back everybody. If you made it to the end of this podcast, you're here about 49 minutes into it on this Thursday night. Once again, I have to delay this episode due to a bit of a health scare yesterday, but feeling a lot better today. I hope you all are feeling great on this Thursday night and enjoyed this edition of this Buffaloes podcast. If you did, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, turn on notifications, even share this out with someone that may be interested so we can get more eyes around this podcast. If it's just a view that you contributed to this episode, though, we thank you for tuning in and spending your time with us on this Thursday night. Thank you to Gordie Tumilson, as always, for coming on as the guest in this week's episode, as well as a special thanks to goaltenders, Gordie's brand, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, and Terrico for sponsoring another edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Next week's episode, hoping it's going to come out on a Wednesday, but yeah, don't take my word for it. We will have next week's episode coming out at some point, though, hoping for Wednesday morning, as it's usually supposed to be set for. But we'll have the updates on our website as well as on our social media pages to confirm that coming up next week. And until next week, Buffaloes Nation, for episode 28, then, this has been season 2, episode 27. I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, wishing you all a wonderful weekend coming up. Hope your week's gone well so far. And yeah, seems like Manitoba's gone one more snow day. At least here in Winnipeg, if you are in this area, enjoy it. If you are in an area with snow, enjoy it a bit, I guess, since this is the last time we'll probably be getting a big snowfall this year, or maybe not. Maybe Mother Nature has other plans. As for us, though, here at G-Show Productions, we're going to say so long now on this Thursday night. Take care, everybody, and we'll let Tyson Unruh take us away, as always, with his March of the Buffaloes podcast from the Juno Award winner. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.